Imagine this. You're alone in a dark cave on a mountain, meditating, when suddenly a powerful presence appears. A being of light grabs you, squeezes you until you can barely breathe, and commands, "Read." You say, "I cannot read." He squeezes harder and commands again, "Read." This happens 3 times. Then he begins to recite words that will change the course of human history. This is what happened to Muhammad ibn Abdullah on the night of power, Laylat al-Qadr, 1400 years ago. This is the night that changed everything. Let me take you back to that moment. It was the year 610 CE. Muhammad was 40 years old. He wasn't a religious leader or scholar. He couldn't read or write. He was a merchant, known throughout Mecca as Al-Amin, the trustworthy, because of his honesty and character. But Muhammad was deeply troubled by the society around him. Mecca was drowning in idolatry. People worshipped 360 idols in the Kaaba. Baby girls were buried alive. The poor were exploited. The weak had no rights. Slavery was rampant. Tribalism and violence were the norm. Muhammad would retreat to a cave called Hira on a mountain outside Mecca to meditate and reflect. He'd spend days there thinking about life, creation, purpose. Then came that night in the month of Ramadan. Muhammad was alone in the cave when suddenly the angel Gabriel appeared to him in his true form, a being so magnificent, so overwhelming that Muhammad was terrified. Gabriel seized him and commanded, "Iqra, read." Muhammad replied, "I cannot read." Gabriel squeezed him until he thought he would die, then released him and commanded again, "Read." Muhammad said, "I cannot read." Gabriel squeezed him again, even harder, then a 3rd time, and finally revealed the first verses of the Qur'an. "Read in the name of your Lord who created man from a clinging substance. Read, and your Lord is the most generous, who taught by the pen, taught man that which he knew not." These were the first words of divine revelation after 6 centuries of silence since Jesus. These words would become the beginning of the final message from God to humanity. Muhammad was shaking, terrified, traumatized by what just happened. He ran down the mountain, rushed home to his wife Khadijah and said, cover me, I fear for myself." He was trembling, wrapped himself in blankets, thought he might be going insane. But Khadijah, a wise and faithful woman, comforted him. She said, "Never. By Allah, Allah will never disgrace you. You keep good relations with your relatives. You help the poor. You serve your guests generously, and you assist those afflicted with calamities." She took him to her cousin Waraka, an elderly Christian scholar who had studied scriptures. When Waraka heard what happened, he said, "This is the same angel that was sent to Moses. I wish I were young enough to be alive when your people drive you out." Muhammad was shocked. "Will they drive me out?" Waraka said, "Yes. No man has ever brought what you will bring without being opposed." And he was right. The moment Muhammad began preaching the message of one God, his life became hell on earth. But let's talk about why this night is so significant. This wasn't just a spiritual experience. This was the beginning of the final revelation from God. After this night, Gabriel continued to come to Muhammad for 23 years, revealing the Qur'an piece by piece. The Qur'an that Muslims read today is exactly what was revealed starting that night in the cave. Not a word changed, not a letter added or removed. From 1400 years ago to today, the same Qur'an, perfectly preserved. But the significance goes deeper. That night, God chose an unlettered man from a pagan society to be his final messenger. Not a priest, not a king, not a scholar, a merchant who couldn't read or write. Why? Because this proved the Quran couldn't have come from Muhammad, a man who never studied, never read books, never had formal education, suddenly producing the most eloquent, profound, miraculous text in the Arabic language. A text that contains scientific facts unknown to 7th century Arabs, prophecies that came true, wisdom that transformed civilizations. That night also marked the beginning of Islam's core message. There is only one God, and Muhammad is his messenger. No more idols, no more superstition, no more priesthood, just pure, direct monotheism, you and your creator, no intermediaries. The first word revealed was Iqra, read. In a society where literacy was rare, God's first command was to seek knowledge. This became a defining characteristic of Islam, the value of learning, education, intellect. That night also marked the beginning of 23 years of revelation. In Mecca, the revelations focused on belief: who is God, why worship him, what happens after death. In Medina, after Muslims migrated, the revelations included laws, guidance on society, rules for marriage, business, governance. But it all started that night in the cave. One man, one night, one angel, and the first words of the final revelation. Muslims believe that this night, Laylat al-Qadr, is so blessed that worship on this one night is better than worship for 1,000 months. Every Ramadan, Muslims seek this night, praying, reading Qur'an, asking forgiveness. Think about the weight of that moment. If Muhammad had refused, if he had run away and never returned, we wouldn't have Islam today. Billions wouldn't have guidance. The Qur'an wouldn't exist. The message would have been lost. But he didn't refuse, despite the fear, despite knowing he'd be persecuted, despite knowing it would cost him everything. He accepted the mission, and for 23 years until his death, he delivered the truth. That's why Muslims love him, because he sacrificed everything to deliver the truth. He was mocked, attacked, starved, exiled, lost loved ones, but never stopped calling people to God. The night Muhammad received the first revelation wasn't just important for Muslims, it was important for all of humanity, because that night, the final message was born, the message that 1.8 billion people follow today. That night, everything changed. And the question is, will it change you too? Will you read the book revealed that night? Will you investigate the message that began in a dark cave 1,400 years ago? Because that message isn't just for ancient people, it's for you, right now, today. The same revelation, the same call, the same truth.